What's up, everybody? It is E6 here at Shacknews. We're still partying, we're still getting down, and I am very pleased today to be joined by the fine folks behind the upcoming video game Superfuse. Hey, guys, you want to take a moment just to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, let's go with
Yeah.
Doug, Lindsay, Bass, and then I'll jump in. Doug, you go first.
Hi, my name's Douglas Walker. I'm the design director at Superfuse.
Hey, I'm Bas. I am, I guess, the lead for characters and animation.
Hey, I'm Professor Matta Haggis-Burridge, and I am the narrative director over there on Superfuse.
Awesome. All right, so before we do the deep diving, do you guys mind giving us a quick overview of what exactly Superfuse is?
So for Superfuse, we're making an ARPG. So that's the kind of dungeon crawlers. I mean, our friends probably know the Diablos and the Path of Exiles. And the way that we're handling it is we're making it within a superhero jacket kind of package, where we allow the player to really craft their own skills through the Fuse system, as we call it, and to really express the way that they want to play their superhero.
Nice. So you're kind of making your own hero as you go along, right?
Very much so. I mean, really upgrading the powers, really exploring the options, what you can do with that, really customizing it to either the gameplay scenario you've got at that time, or really just working out how you love to play, the kind of style that you want, and just letting yourselves, well, we're giving you the power to kind of customize to that situation as you go.
Nice. But these heroes are like they're like kind of corporate entities, right? Like
Yeah, I'll jump on that one because that's more of a narrative kind of side of things. Yeah, definitely. So we're set about 200 years in the future, a little bit longer than 200 years in the future. Humanity has left Earth to a large extent. Earth still has some people there. And we're very much living under kind of corporatocracy. You know, there's these characters called the gods who are essentially the children of today's billionaires. And you are an enforcer who was created to fight a new plague of humanity called the corruption. And that's kind of what your job is. Corruption was beginning on Earth 30 years before the game. You've been fighting it over there, and at the start of the game, it's just beginning to spread elsewhere.
nice. So what are some of the different classes that you'll be able to play in Superfuse, and what makes each one of them unique?
Well, at the moment, we're really only sort of talking about the Berserker class, and he's the kind of the uber strong, kind of brutal, heavy weapon wielding, sort of barbarian class type, and he also has a sort of a mix of melee weapons and sort of smash and sort of punch superpowers. And also kind of sort of ranged kind of sort of energy weapons that he can kind of throw.
Just toss them out like that.
Yeah. I mean, and then as you build the character, then you as we said, you can kind of customize how each of the kind of quite sort of a minutest detail, how each of the different abilities will kind of work, so you can really kind of fine tune the sort of experience that you're looking for from the class that you've chosen.
Nice. That was actually one of the things I found like really ambitious about this game, because I got a chance to do a little hands-on back at GDC,
Yeah.
and like the amount of depth in the customization process is extremely impressive. Like you can really tweak everything to like how you want it to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where did in the development process was all of the customization implemented, and what has the balancing process been like for that?
We were very early with when the customization came in. I think, I mean, it was pretty much one of the first things that came in. So we really built the game, start as a starting point from there. we did go through quite a few iterations how we're gonna make the customization, which we eventually landed to what the current system is. Well, as you said, you were at GDC, so you had your hands on what is kind of the system that that we're working towards right now. And yeah, the way that balancing goes, there's an ongoing process. Doc will probably have some more specific notes.
The balancing is, we're kind of building up slowly as we're progressing. As we're kind of bringing all the different classes together within the levels, then there'll be a lot of tweaking. So we're implementing telemetry in order to track player behavior and to kind of identify sort of undesirable spikes or desirable spikes, and kind of like tweak and twist all the right kind of variables in order to get the sort of experience that we're looking for early access.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a lot of work.
I think one of the things that we're looking at here is also we are making a superhero game, so we do want people to feel powerful and have a lot of fun with this. But obviously, we want to keep it that there is kind of the challenge for people who want to have a super tough time. We do want to make it balanced for people who want to have a super tough time. It's a big job, but we're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, please go.
Well, sort of also the kind of the iteration of the of the audio and the special effects in order to kind of diversify all the different ways that you can customize the systems, but to make it kind of like really sort of readable as to what's going on from the abilities that the player has, but also for the impact effects on the enemies and the sound of each ability, and kind of like sort of tweaking each ability so as they grow and sort of develop and fragment, so forth, that also the sound sort of adapts to that as well. So to kind of give a lot of kind of depth and feedback to the experience that you're customizing.
Nice, yeah, because like you said, you're gonna be a superhero, but like this is still a game. You still gotta have that progression in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I have to say, I'm personally more of a fan of sci-fi than fantasy, so I think it's great to see a game like this that has those like Diablo influences and games like that, but it's not all dragons and wizards. Was the goal with Superfuse like always to have the give sci-fi fans that sort of experience?
Well, we always thought like we completely agree. Fantasy was very much a staple within the genre, so sci-fi obviously being a niche that we could nicely fill, plus us being fans ourselves as well. It also really nicely tied into the whole superhero thing, which was kind of at the crux of the whole project. The whole comic book being part of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's sci-fi is a genre I've loved for my whole life, really. I sort of grew up reading Asimov and pretty much every sci-fi book that I could find in my local library before moving to the next library over and starting on their collection as well. I grew up reading 2000 AD comics with like Rogue Trooper and Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that have always been there in the background for me. Like New Statesman, which was like a really obscure one from I think 80s, 90s, which again are kind of about genetically enhanced characters and superheroes and kind of a darker twist on that and the terrible things that could happen with this. So all this stuff is kind of percolating around kind of in our minds and kind of informing where we want to go with this now. What does a dark superhero story, what does a sci-fi setting look like in 2022 when we sort of mash all these pieces together, really just trying to create something which is respectful to these inspirations, but original and interesting to explore for our players.
Nice. So I'm guessing there's a lot of like nods and little homages in there as well. Then,
to an extent, yeah. I think there's this nice healthy balance between fan service and trying to create something original. You want to create something like years ago I worked on an Aliens versus Predator game. And you want to have enough stuff in there that people who love the Aliens and Predator IP recognize and thoroughly enjoy, but you also want to create something new. You want to create something individual and original that people can really engage with. So you're not just, oh, it's a bit of that and a bit of that mixed together. You want to try and create something a little bit new as well. So I hope people will be familiar with kind of some of the setting of the sci-fi world, but they'll be able to kind of find the original pieces and really have fun with it and explore the characters and the setting and the world that we're generating.
You were just talking about some of the comic book series that influences, and I believe last time we met, you guys were talking about The Boys being an influence on Superfuse, and I'm also, you mentioned a few things, but were there any other comic books or like film or TV show specifically that had like a major influence on Superfuse beyond The Boys?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Invincible is a big one for us. Which is a current animated show for fans of The Boys. I would really recommend watching it. It's really nice. But yeah, those were The Boys was an influence. Invincible was an influence. On the visual side, there's also stuff like Batman Beyond, which is a little bit older, but it's also a big inspiration for us.
A little bit older.
We have mentioned. Sorry?
A little bit older. Now you're making me feel old.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, it's a whole slew of things. Spider-Verse was also one that comes to mind once in a while, and then there's a whole slew of games.
Watchmen,
Watchmen, yeah, indeed. It's we kind of wanted that kind of like gritty stuff in there, and I hope we really hit that spot for other people as well there when they get to play the game.
So a lot of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of though. There's obviously this exploration that's already happening in kind of this dark superhero world, but I think also like a lot of creators, we're trying to look outside of that. So we are looking at the world around us. We're looking at the news. We're watching things that aren't kind of core sci-fi or core superhero things, trying to pull in the elements that we think really inspire us and create something. Again, it's something a bit original. I mean, one of the things a lot of game devs do is you look at your main competitors' games. You look at your Path of Exile. You look at your Diablo. You play these games. You really kind of learn to understand exactly what really makes them breathe. But you also go out and play other things. You read other comic books, and then you watch films and you read books and you look at the news and you go for a walk and you look at how the moss grows and how that algae looks really weird if you look close to it, and you get inspiration from the whole world around you, and you bring that back into the game space again. Because if you only look at comics and if you only look at films and you only look at games, you're kind of taking the world secondhand. You're looking at another artist's interpretation of it. So you get inspiration for the genre from the genre, but you also need to look outside the genre as well.
I was going to say, I don't think developers ever mentioned moss as an influence.
Well, you need to go to the source.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the amount of teams I've been on that have had to kind of do blood and goop and gore and weird things. And when you walk past these people's screens, the horrible close-up images of nature that you see, like microscopic fungi breeding and things like this, and algae, and all of this kind of stuff. This is on the screens of the artists. They are looking at what's out there in the real world, because the real world is huge and incredibly inspiring for us to just sort of see what's out there and really take it from the source, take that inspiration and bring it into our game and breathe some fresh life.
This just makes me think of what our art Bible looks like, because at one point we have our briefing for our artists. There's suddenly a warning of like, okay, we're gonna go into like the corruption kind of stuff, and then a whole slew of like reference comes in where not everyone will be too happy having to look at it for hours on end.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, as you said, we're going back to the source material, and I mean, on location at our studio, we have a whole slew of comic books laying around to really get to, what is that core thing? We watch The Boys and Invincible together because it's just such an inspirational piece to what we're doing. I think it's really good to kind of look at other stuff that is not just other games.
Nice. Actually, speaking of The Boys, have you seen any of The Boys season 3 yet? Have you guys had a chance to watch it?
I wish I had. I have it. I have it lined up kind of to go, and I wanted to dive into it somewhere this week.
Oh man.
But I
I'm
mean,
halfway through.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, don't spoil anything.
No, I won't.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
Yeah, we're really eager to start watching it. I mean, season 2 was great, so yeah.
Yeah,
I hope the other one is just as good.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the Boys comics myself. I've been reading it since issue number 1 came out. Just by the month. I read it month to month. And I gotta say, like, I didn't think that they could get worse than the comic books on the show, but
Really? Okay.
they've really
I'm seeing comments about it online, and people are kind of going, I watched it without my partner in the room, and that was probably a good choice. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing in season 3?
They've really gone off the chain. Supposedly they're going to do the Hero-gasm story arc this season too, which is, I don't know how they're going to. That's some HBO shit going on to Amazon Prime probably.
I mean, it's a conversation piece within the company as well. There's a few people that read the comic books through and through. I personally didn't, but yeah, they're like eager to tell us about what's coming up. And
yeah, it's sort of that red wedding moment, you know.
Okay, wow.
From Game of Thrones. So we'll see. I have no idea what to expect, because the great thing is the show is so different from the comic.
Yeah, I heard there was like slight changes. Yeah,
a lot of different changes, but
oh,
man, so I'm just curious, like, beyond the story, like, is the gore factor of stuff like that like a big influence on the game? Is that something that you're trying to bring across in Superfuse?
yeah, gore is definitely a thing that we want to bring into the game, and we want to get to that extreme factor. You know, if you're a super strong superhero and you punch something with all the force that you have, whatever is, under the wrath of your fist, probably will just splatter all over the wall if you're really
juicy and wet.
Exactly. We have our audio guy working on it as well, where he was specifically trying to get wet noises. And it was I got a bit nasty at one point. I was like, how did you get this? Apparently he was like working with like fruit or wet sponges or
Man,
yeah, it was great.
So that's a design goal then, the wetness.
Wetness.
I mean, wetness not specifically, but we felt that wetness helps with getting it gory and nasty and gross.
Sort of a fleshy.
Yeah, exactly.
Fleshy background.
Yeah, definitely. So you can do so much with visuals in games, but the audio side of it is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk to audio people and get them really excited in games, ask them about what's the best shotgun you ever heard, and there will be such a range, because people always kind of go, oh yeah, this shotgun sounded so good. The sounds of a game really bring that world to life, and there's a huge amount of the visual style of it, but how it sounds as well is a massive part of the impact and the feel of it. And particularly when you're doing an ARPG, when you're a little bit further back from the scene, you need to be able to hear it to really get that feeling going there. Definitely.
I believe sound even has like an impact to it when it comes down to how well people play with it. Because I remember enemy territory, I think, had one weapon on the German side and one weapon on the Allied side, which were identical weapons but with a different sound. And I think it was the Allied side, the Thompson gun, just did better than the German side. I might be quoting here, but I remember distinctly being identical weapons with just a different sound, and people just weren't playing to the same level.
Yeah, no, it's a huge part of the feedback and the whole loop of it and how it feels and the timing of it. Very, very important. I remember Black, which was an old game on the PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2. Yeah, end of era PlayStation 2. And they did come up with what's called the chorus of guns, which was essentially the person who's going to shoot you and do damage on you next is the person whose gun gets the priority in the mix. And so if you were playing on a surround sound thing, you'd be sitting there on the couch with your friend and going, over to the right, because you could hear that was the person who was about to damage you next. Really use that mix to really bring the world to life and really give people a sense that they're embedded there and they're perceiving like a soldier would perceive in that space. It's great fun what you can do with audio in games.
You guys have a lot of comic art to help drive your narrative. Like, who is? Did you work with like a comic artist in particular to get all that art done? Anyone we might know or anything like that?
You should know, but he's not that famous, sadly, but he should be, because he's. I mean, in my eyes, he's great at what he does.
he's awesome. Yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's but we're working with a comic book artist who goes by the name David Thorfjarlson, who is he's been working on comic books left and right, and has been doing concept art, which for as a game studio is like a perfect combination. But it's been really nice to be working with him, and he indeed, at least in my opinion, sure if Meta has its
loving it. I mean,
like it.
Yeah, it's great because I can write sort of like something like this, and I'll do like Stickman sketch, and then about a day later he comes back with something like this. Then you're like, yep, that's exactly that was what was in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing artist.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Really fun to work with. Yeah.
Nice. Sweet. And then you also have like voiceover narrative for everything as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So for the Berserker, we have Eli Harris, who's done the voice of a lot of things. He tends to do a lot of kind of combat kind of voiceover for what's it called, mixed MMA. And kind of fight arena stuff, but he's done a lot of work over the years, and he's done some award-winning work as well. And he's just got such a lovely, rich bass for his voice. He's really fun to work with because obviously I am, as you can kind of tell, I'm a white middle-class English guy, and the Berserker is an African-American descent guy, and so. Obviously, I do my best to do my research. I look up kind of grammatical rules of AAVE and really just try and make sure that I get it as right as possible. I watch a huge amount of reference material to get kind of the language and grammar into my head, so that when I give it to him, it's going to feel as natural as possible to him in his mouth when he speaks it. But Eli's been kind enough to look through this occasionally, kind of go, actually, I'd probably say it like this, and so just really kind of having this kind of collaborative feeling with Eli to really kind of get it to be as authentic and sound as right as possible. That's been really important to me. I want to make sure that we do this well, and Eli's definitely been part of that process. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with. Really got a great guy.
Nice. So at this point, where are you guys in the development process? Can you talk a little bit about that, or is that?
I'm not sure if we can talk
that
about
working hard.
Working hard. Nice.
I mean, we're working towards early access this year, so that's what we're doing. We're trying to cram everything in. We're playing it a lot. We're balancing a lot. We're tweaking. We're realizing that things, kind of some ideas gel, others don't. We're kind of mixing and matching. So yeah, I mean that's where we are. We're kind of squeezing into the wedge of the kind of release code, so we can launch it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I found really interesting about this was, I've worked on a lot of games over the years, and it's relatively common to see that really in the last 3 months the game comes together and starts being fun. This game was fun when I joined it, and I think that's just huge praise to the people who work on this before I got here, and it's just getting better and better. So I'm having a lot of fun whenever I play the builds, which is sometimes game devs will tell you a little bit rare. You don't always like the game you're working on, but it's good fun. So I can't tell you how close we are, but as Doug says, aiming for early access this year.
Nice. Well, I definitely had a lot of fun with it when I played it. I admittedly I went OP with it when I like the minute like
I think I remember.
Yeah, the minute they're like, oh, you can just go in and customize everything and tweak everything, and you gave me carte blanche as far as like my upgrade options went, and I felt that power.
Were you the one who basically just destroyed the screen with a powerful thing? I heard somebody at GDC was just like, yep, put everything on that. And boom.
Yeah. I like set it up so I had like some sort of like lightning chain, so it would hit an enemy and then it would like spawn like electrical blasts in like every direction. So I was just like, hitting a button and watching everything explode, kinda. Yeah. Which I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure that there will be rules and regulations, and not everyone will have access to like unlimited, items. But yeah,
no, there's definitely people should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
you have to make choices. Yeah. I mean, we let you guys just run wild with the game. But when you're playing it, then you'll need to make choices, and part of the fun is kind of replaying different types of builds, playing it solo, playing with friends, mixing and matching different classes. I mean, it'll be
we're aiming to have kind of drop-in co-op in there. But even if you're just really having a lot of fun, you've really leveled your character up, you can respec and just completely change how the things work. So you can really adapt it to your gameplay style. So if you're having a lot of fun, you've got loads of cool kits. You don't have to start from scratch if you want to have a different experience with it. You can just fiddle around and tweak and just see what happens, and hopefully be surprised occasionally.
Yeah, that's definitely. I love the customization so far. Like it's something that really struck out at me, and I'm such a dork for stuff like that in games. Like if there's anything that I can customize, I'm gonna spend way too much time doing it. Like I'm the person in the group that's still in their menus when everybody's run off to the next section, So like Superfuse like clicked with me like immediately.
So glad you're having fun with it.
Yeah. I'm also just a big like superhero comic book dork myself too. So like I'm just curious if you guys could have any superpower. What superpower would it be?
I've always wanted teleportation. I always thought that would just be really fun. Just be able to think of a place to go to and just be able to get there. I think that would be. I've always thought that'd be fun. Yeah.
Save a lot of money on like gas and like hotels and stuff like that.
I think I'd like to see the world, but I'd also like to see different planets and just be able to teleport myself across the galaxy would be a lot of fun.
I was just thinking to fix my tardiness with teleportation, but I
don't
think I'll fix it anyway. My tardiness. It's always like 5 minutes late.
Yeah, mine would be time travel.
Ooh, good one. Yes. Would you completely destroy the timeline though?
I try not to.
Come on, Bass. What would you go for?
I'm thinking. That's a question.
Man, that's the tough ones, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Being able to learn things in an instant, I think, would be
nice.
Like that one, sort of like get the Matrix download sort of thing. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it'll be great to have.
All right.
And Blake, what would yours be?
Oh man, I'd probably go with invisibility, but I already feel like I'm invisible in life. So. No. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. No, something, I don't know, telepathy would be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
Just
or would it? Oh, I've read so many sci-fis about how that's a very bad idea. Yeah. Gotta be careful what you wish for there.
Alright, well, I'm not going to be doing scanners stuff or anything like that.
I did spend many hours as a child trying to perfect my telekinesis, but I never managed to sort of move the penny across the table.
I always wanted to levitate, but I think teleportation would be easier. Yeah.
We'll keep trying. I'm sure you'll get it eventually. Eventually that penny's going to move one way or another. Oh, he's floating! Oh my goodness! Well, guys, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Where can folks find out more about Superfuse?
Follow Raw Fury and follow Superfuse the game on Twitter. There'll be
Yeah,
things
we have
going
a-
on there. There is a Discord channel as well,
Yeah.
which has exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff showing some of the concept art coming through there. Any other channels, folks?
Superfusegame.com has all these links together as well, so there might be a very
Nice.
easy way to find everything what you need.
There you go. Well, thank you all so much for chatting with me today. And if you're watching, stick around. We got a lot more E6 from you. For you. Not from you. You guys didn't do anything. We did all the work. No. But you will enjoy the content. So stick around, and we'll be right back with more E6.
Cheers, folks. Bye.